Welcome to my Valentine's Day special, where I'm going to show you how to cook the most amazing meal for your partner. We've got dauphinoise potatoes with the most amazing duck breast and a red wine and plum reduction, followed by a pistachio creme brûlée. Please subscribe, it goes a long way for a small creator like myself. We're going to start by pouring 500 milliliters of cream into a pot alongside 500 milliliters of full fat milk. We're going to infuse this cream and milk with 1 onion roughly chopped, alongside 2 garlic cloves and our herbs. The herbs I've thrown in are sage, thyme and rosemary. I finished by throwing in some whole peppercorns and then grating in some fresh nutmeg. Bring that to a boil until it's infused, and in the meanwhile we can work on our potatoes. With a sharp knife, slice nice and thin, about 1 centimeter thickness. Throw these into a bowl and then pour over that amazing infused milk. When you're pouring, run it through a sieve to catch all the aromatics, the onion, the garlic and everything we've put in there. Now here you're going to have 2 options. You can either leave these potatoes to soften for about 15 to 20 minutes in that hot infused milk, or you can throw everything back into a pot and just cook this through on a medium to high heat for around 5 minutes, speeding up the process. Once the potatoes have softened, we're going to layer these as carefully and present them as beautifully as we can in our cast iron skillet. If you don't have a cast iron, you can of course use a baking tray, don't worry. With the first layer done, we're going to season with some salt, black pepper and nutmeg. Gently add the infused cream and then finish with some Gruyere cheese. Now the first layer is done, we're going to repeat this process. So layer the potatoes, then season with salt, pepper, nutmeg, add the remainder of the cream and then finish with some Gruyere cheese. Now you don't have to layer and stack these the way I did, you can of course just dump it into a pan. But once this is done baking, I'm going to show you why I did layer it and how pretty it's going to look. Also, another tip is when you're pouring the cream, pour it on the side and pour it very gently, otherwise it's just going to wash away all the seasoning that you evenly distributed. Bake at 200 degrees Celsius between 35 and 45 minutes. I'm ready. Keeping an eye on it until it's beautifully golden brown. Now this is your final result, the most amazing, creamy and cheesy dauphinoise potatoes. Let these cool for around 20 to 30 minutes and then you can dive in. Now from stacking the potatoes the way we did, you can see these beautiful diagonal potato lines and it just forms this really cool pattern which I like and I think looks really pretty. Anyway, that's the dauphinoise done. Let's move on how to make the perfect duck and sauce to go with these potatoes. In terms of timings for the sauce, I would start preparing and making this whilst the dauphinoise are baking. That gives you around 40 minutes to make the sauce, which is plenty of time, and it just keeps you ahead of schedule. So into a saucepan, we're going to go in with a knob of butter and sweat down 1 shallot. Add in 2 crushed garlic cloves and then season generously with salt to bring out the moisture. Add your aromatics. Again, it's going to be the same as the dauphinoise: sage, rosemary and fresh thyme. Then we're going to go in with 2 tablespoons of this plum butter. Let that caramelize and then we're going to deglaze everything with 75 ml of a good red wine. Let that boil for around 5 minutes, cooking out the alcohol, and then we're going to skim off the impurities, then go in with 100 milliliters of a good beef stock. Let that simmer for around 5 minutes, then strain to get a smooth sauce. Once strained, throw that back into the saucepan, let that simmer until it's reduced by half. Give it a taste and see what the sauce needs. Mine was slightly bitter, so I added some honey, seasoned with a little bit of salt, and then I finished it with some butter. Oh, and if you can't find any of this plum butter, use 2 tablespoons of any nice red jam, strawberry, raspberry, whatever you can get your hands on. Now the sauce is ready, just leave it in the pot and reheat whenever you're ready to serve. Right, sauce is done, dauphinoise are done, let's work on the duck. We're going to take our duck breast and just pat it down, removing any excess moisture. Next, with your knife, we're going to score the skin. Very loosely with a sharp knife, just run it over the skin, making sure that you don't pierce all the way through into the meat. We just want to score the fat here. It's going to let that fat render out and stop the duck from tightening up too much. Season the duck generously with salt, then place skin side down into a cold pan and gradually bring it up to a medium to high heat. After around 3.5–4 minutes, the fat should have rendered out and you should get this beautiful crispy skin. Flip the duck breast over and cook for 90 seconds, then flip it back skin side down and it's going to go into the oven at 200 degrees Celsius for 8 minutes. Now the duck is cooked, we're going to rest this for at least 10 minutes to lock in all that juice to give us a perfectly moist duck breast. Crispy skin, nice and juicy in the middle, just the way a duck breast is supposed to be. Now with slicing, we're going to go diagonally and you're going to slice towards you. Probably the only time I would ever recommend slicing towards you, but with this duck breast, it's necessary. I like to slice nice big pieces so you get around 4 or 5 pieces of duck per breast. Now just look at this duck breast. Look how juicy and tender it is. I like my duck breast nice and pink, but if you like yours a bit more well done, instead of 8 minutes in the oven, give it around 12 to 14 and it should be slightly more well done for you. Now we've got everything ready, it's time to start plating up. You can either leave the duck breast sliced on one plate and then just pour the sauce. It looks super clean, super elegant, and then you have the dauphinoise in the middle to share. Or what I like to do is use a circular mold to cut out a beautiful circle shape, plate that in the middle, then duck breast all around and finish with the sauce. And that, my friends, is the most amazing duck breast with dauphinoise potatoes finished with a red wine and plum reduction. Now it's time to make dessert, pistachio creme brulee. We're going to start by taking 450 milliliters of heavy cream and pouring that into a saucepan. Add 100 milliliters of full fat milk, add a splash of vanilla extract, and then 2 tablespoons of pistachio paste. You can either make your own or buy them in a supermarket or online, which is what I did. Place your hob on a medium heat and stop just before the mixture comes to a boil. While that's heating up, mix 100 grams of golden caster sugar with 4 egg yolks. Once it's nice and silky, I transfer to a bigger bowl because I'm stupid and thought this small bowl would work, but it didn't. Now you've whisked the egg yolks and sugar, you're slowly going to pour your heated pistachio cream and mix that in with your eggs. Make sure to constantly be whisking and start nice and slow. Once it's all come together, we're going to pour these into ramekins 3/4 of the way up. Now this recipe calls for 4 portions because I promise you, you will want to go in again for seconds. Once you've got your mixture into the ramekins, you're going to hit it with your blowtorch to remove any of the bubbles on the top. If you don't have a blowtorch, you can skim all the excess stuff off the top using a spoon, but you should really have a blowtorch anyway for the end of the recipe where we caramelize the sugar. Place these into a deep tray, then add boiling water 1/4 of the way up the ramekin. Now very carefully transition this into your preheated oven.
Oh god, this is so scary.
Bake at 180 degrees Celsius for around 35 minutes. This is how you know when it's ready to be pulled out. When it's got that little bit of wiggle to it, but it's still stiff and firm, that's how you know. Let them come to room temperature, then they go into the fridge for at least 2 hours to set. Now they've set, here comes the fun part. Go in with 1.5 teaspoons of granulated sugar, then take your blowtorch and caramelize the sugar on the top until it hardens and turns golden brown. Keep moving your blowtorch, don't keep it in one spot, otherwise it will burn just that one area. We want nice, even caramelization. Give it a couple minutes for that sugar to cool down and harden, then you're ready to dive in and enjoy. The great thing about this dessert is that you can make it ahead of time, just leave it in the fridge, and when you're ready to use it, simply add your sugar, get your blowtorch out, and caramelize. It also adds an element of theatre to the night. I promise you, if you pull out a blowtorch and start caramelizing sugar in front of your partner, you are most definitely getting lucky that night. Anyway, that's enough for me. I hope you enjoyed the video, I hope you enjoyed the recipe, and I really hope you enjoy Valentine's Day. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and leave a comment below.